This is Strictly Business, presented by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored in part by the law offices of Young Wooldridge, San Joaquin Community Hospital.
Good morning and welcome to Strictly Business for Monday, March the 23rd, 2015. I'm Nathan Ollie, Manager of Government Affairs at the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. On today's show, Jay Rosenlieb with Clientine Natalie Goldner will explain how businesses can prepare for the California mandatory paid sick leave that will take effect on July 1st. Then Jacob Henry from Stack Technologies will join us to discuss how streamlining your business's technology needs may be easier and more cost-effective than you may think. And finally, Hillary Haynes, the project manager for the Chamber, and Will Carter from the CSUB Athletic Department will tell us about a mixer that you won't want to miss. But first, let's take a look at some business news that you can use. Another year of water restrictions is coming for California. Perhaps the biggest news of the week came from the state's Water Resources Control Board. The board ordered tougher water restrictions that will impact all Californians. Some of the restrictions include limiting how often a person can water their landscaping, forcing restaurants to only serve water if a customer asks for it, and watering landscaping during and up to 48 hours after rainfall. The board said it will impose even tougher restrictions if local water agencies don't do enough to conserve water. The restrictions will begin in 45 days. On other water news, Governor Brown and lawmakers have proposed a $1 billion drought relief bill. On the heels of these new restrictions, Governor Brown and the top state lawmakers have proposed a $1 billion drought relief bill. This bill would help to fund flood protection and water supply projects and help to alleviate impacts of the drought by providing additional funding for food assistance and emergency drinking water for hard-hit communities. Funding for the bill would come from several sources, including the state's general fund, revenue from the state's cap-and-trade program, and money from the water bond approved by voters last year. Sticking with the water theme, a public policy report says California needs to be planning for its next drought now. The Institute called for a new report calling for better water use data, clearer priorities, and better drought management planning methods. The report also found the state should invest in tracking its water with accurate measurements of flow, quality, storage, and use, and that cities and farms should better manage their demand and help develop reliable supplies. In other state news, California lawmakers want to regulate home-sharing businesses. A proposed bill would make it easier for cities to collect taxes from homeowners who use online home-sharing sites like Airbnb to rent out rooms in their homes. If passed, the bill would require these companies to make regular reports to cities and counties about which homes are renting out rooms, how many nights they're rented, and how much money homeowners are collecting. Airbnb officials say they are currently working with cities around the world and already collect taxes in California cities such as San Francisco and San Jose. In more local news, with a streamlined business permitting process, abundance of open space, and low living cost, a new report found that Kern County has maintained a strong economic performance with a job growth rate higher than the state and nation since 2007. While the local economy remains strong, the Milken Institute outlined recommendations to maintain vitality, including providing more financing for small businesses, expanding in-county educational opportunities, and maintaining the cohesive planning approach that makes doing business in Kern County easier than in competing areas. In health news, more than 16 million have gained insurance coverage under this new health law. Since taking effect 5 years ago, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services now say that over 16 million Americans have health coverage because of the Affordable Health Care Act. The biggest gains have been seen among minority groups, including Latinos and African Americans. Taking a look at the housing market, what it takes to own a home in California has put the dream of ownership out of reach for some households, with California home prices up $120,000 in the last 3 years. The Sacramento Bee reported the amount of income it would take to buy a home in a specific city in the state. For Bakersfield, for example, to buy a home at $201,500, a household would need to make about $40,000 a year. That number does assume a 20% down payment. Sticking with housing news, mobile home parks are a vanishing source of affordable housing. The California Department of Housing and Community Development says affordable housing options for lower and middle income families are vanishing. The hardest hit, mobile home parks. In the last decade, nearly 4,800 mobile home lots in California have disappeared. The department says that part of the reason for the decline is due to uneven economic growth throughout the state, where the coastal zones are growing faster than the inland areas. In education news, state officials are suspending the Academic Performance Index for the year. It has some districts breathing a sigh of relief as the California Board of Education decided to suspend the Academic Performance Index, or API, for this school year. The move will allow schools to adjust to the new computerized Common Core state tests. The API could also be going away for good. The Board of Education is currently developing a new accountability system that would evaluate schools on test scores, graduation and expulsion and suspension data, school climate, student preparedness for college, and more. This new system could be implemented as early as the fall of 2016. Voting at 16, is it possible? A San Francisco supervisor is pushing to lower the city's voting age to 16. In January, the San Francisco's Youth Commission passed a resolution urging voting rights be lowered to 16. If passed, 16 and 17-year-olds could only vote in citywide election. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that no word on the proposal will go before city supervisors. In energy news, PG&E is giving rebates for electric cars. Owners of electric cars may soon receive some more tax breaks. The Chronicle reported that PG&E has proposed offering one-time rebates to customers with electric cars. There's no word yet on how long the rebates would last. It's now up to the California Public Utilities Commission to approve these rebates. Amazon has won approval to test delivery drones outdoors. The Sacramento Bee reported that federal regulators have given Amazon the go-ahead to begin testing their drones outdoors. The online retailer hopes to use drones to deliver packages to customers more efficiently. The drones must be manned by a pilot with a certificate to fly a private manned aircraft. The Federal Aviation Administration plans to let more businesses test drones, but it's not known which it will allow companies to use autonomous drones. That's a look at some of the stories taking news around the country. We'll take a break and be right back after this with more Strictly Business. Stay tuned.